A Birthday Cake for George Washington by Ramin Ganeshram. Illustrations by Vanessa Brantley Newton. All over the streets of Philadelphia, folks are talking about celebrating President Washington's birthday. In the kitchen, my papa Hercules is baking an amazing cake. But there is one problem. We are out of sugar. Today, he is very upset. This cake has to be special. President Washington is the most famous person in all of America. Papa is the general of the president's kitchen. He has looked in every cupboard and every crock, but there is no sugar left. Not brown, not white, not cake, nor fine. Papa roared at the kitchen maids. "Where has the sugar gone?" He growled at Chef Julien, who came all the way from France to work here. How could all the sugar be used up? He scowled at the swirling, whirling snow covering the cobblestone streets outside the president's house. It is too stormy for anyone to go to the market now. Only when Mrs. Washington comes into the kitchen does Papa turn his scowl into an easy smile. "Not to worry, Lady Washington," he says in his voice that is smooth and sweet like molasses. "Leave it all to me." I quickly glance up. I get a peek at the great lady. When Papa speaks to her, her fluttering hands calm down by her sides. "I will leave it to you, Hercules," she says with a sigh of relief. Papa bows as she leaves the kitchen. Me and Papa and all our family are among the slaves who belong to President Washington. Next to the president's personal servant, Billy Lee, Papa is the slave President and Mrs. Washington trust the most. In the streets of Philadelphia, slaves are not seen, but everyone knows Papa. President and Mrs. Washington give Papa fine things because his food is so delicious. When he goes to market, people point at his fancy coat and his top hat. They notice the gold watch that swings from his vest. The president gives Papa tickets to the theater and the circus. Papa sits in the audience with white people and many free black people too. "There goes the president's cook," someone whispers. All the important people who come to see President Washington say that Papa's cooking is the best in America. The French ambassador is partial to Papa's chicken fricassee. The senator from Connecticut loves Papa's buttery mashed potatoes. The wife of the governor of Pennsylvania says Papa's beef stew is the most delicious thing she has ever tasted. The president himself loves fish most of all, any way that Papa makes it. But even Papa cannot make a cake without sugar. Papa marches to the pantry and flings open the door. "Tell me why, Delia," Papa says to me. "We have nutmeg from the West Indies, but no sugar. There is chocolate from Mexico and coffee from Africa." I hear Papa's voice boom from deep inside the storage room. "Delia, we have cheddar cheese from England and olives from Italy. There are pickled mangoes from India and oils from Araby." Papa comes out of the storage room and looks down at me. But there is no sugar. I know Papa does not really expect me to answer, so I do not speak. "Pickles, teas, candied fruit," he mumbles, "and all this honey." Papa glares at the ceramic pots and stone jars of honey jamming the shelves. Everyone knows that President Washington loves honey, and every day another jar is brought to the house by an admirer. "Honey!" Papa shouts. "That's it!" He grabs pots down from the shelves and opens their lids, sniffing this one, tasting from another. "Now," he says, rubbing his hands together, "to work." Papa takes out several large bowls and races around the kitchen gathering the ingredients he will need. A half-dozen eggs, fine white flour, cinnamon and nutmeg, dried sugared fruits, a crock of smooth white butter, some salt, and the jugs of honey. Papa hands me the fruits and a large grinding stone. Grind them until they are fine like powder, he tells me. And I set to work pushing the grinding rock against the stone as if I were grinding corn for our hoe cakes at home. You, separate these eggs and whip the whites until they are like clouds, he says to Monsieur Julien. And you, mix the flour and spices together in the bowl with the salt, he tells one of the scullery maids. Then Papa puts butter into another bowl. He takes up a large fork and begins to whip the butter until it is fluffy and light. He picks up the jug of honey and drizzles it in, whipping all the while. Papa then calls for the fruits I am grinding. I bring them. Pour them in, girl, he says, still whipping the butter. Bring the flour, he yells at the kitchen maid. Now, gently add 1 spoonful at a time. She does it, trembling the whole while, and still Papa whips up the batter. And now, Julien, the egg yolks. The chef runs forward with the bowl of egg yolks. 1 at a time now, says Papa, gently. Now the whites, he says after the yolks have disappeared into the batter. Monsieur Julien runs forward again with the bowl of egg whites. Papa calls for a cake mold and tells the kitchen maid to smear it with butter and a bit of flour. Papa puts the cake mold into a big iron pot and covers it, then places the whole thing into the beehive oven. While we are waiting for the cake to bake, Papa whips some more butter and honey to make a frosting. Mrs. Washington pokes her head around the kitchen door. Hercules, she says, her eyebrows raised high. Ma'am, answered Papa. Is all well? She asks. All is well, Lady Washington. When it is finally time to take the cake out of the oven, Papa will not allow anyone else to do it. The kitchen boy slowly pokes his finger forward to touch the cake. Papa slaps his hand hard. Never, he growls, touch a risen cake. We all must wait for the cake to cool. While we do, we scrub the kitchen, peel vegetables, and tend the stews for supper. Soon it is time to decorate the cake. Papa gently lifts the cake pan and turns it over on a large, round platter. It comes out with a plop. It is round and perfect. He takes a flat knife and spreads the frosting on the cake so fast that we almost do not see his hands move. When it is done, he takes sugared cherries that came last summer from the trees at Mount Vernon and sprinkles them over the top. He puts the cake away in the cool larder until it is time to serve. And now we all must move quickly. We hear the music upstairs as people begin to arrive. The kitchen buzzes like a hive, and everyone has his or her task. There is the swishing of skirts and aprons as we all move as fast as we can to get the platters ready for the servers to take through the covered passage to the dining room. Everything must be ready as soon as we hear the music stop. Papa brings the cake from the larder. We are all quiet, waiting for the server to come take it. No one seems to breathe until the cake platter comes back. There is not a crumb left. Then we hear a heavier step in the hall. It is slow and even. All at once, filling the doorway, there is President Washington. He has to stoop a little because he is so tall. Hercules, the president says in his soft voice that is like a whisper. My heart is pounding so hard in my ears I can barely hear him. You are a magician, a master chef. You have outdone yourself again. Good man. An honor and a privilege, sir, Papa says. Happy birthday, Mr. President.